After getting through our processing stage here with a few of the stems and the busing and groups, we can now get into balancing things out a bit more. So, not I don't really want to crank everything up. So I'm not trying to achieve an incredible amount of loudness right now. I'm trying to achieve balance, which is very important to understand in this stage. I'll raise the bar with loudness and getting everything a bit to where it needs to be for the mastering level later. Right now, everything needs to feel balanced against each other. So that's what we need to go through now. So as I'm going, I'm looking for anything standing out mix-wise. One layer, incredibly loud than the other, one layer not being able to be heard. There's such thing as a layer not being able to be heard, but being able to be felt. There is such thing. So there is certain circumstances where, say, the build-up drums here are not fully heard, but they are felt by my break kick stacking it. So we need to understand that balance of when we're mixing. So what I'm doing, this is something I do in all my mix downs, is I'll go one by one. I'm not soloing everything individually to just hear it itself. We already did that to understand if it's masking something else. Right now what I'm doing is comparing each stem, each section. So I'm going every 8 bars, and I'm visually looking at all these stems because I know these are what's playing, and we have a couple things up here. I'm visually understanding and then understanding the audio of them. Are they working together? Are they working against each other? So I need to go one by one in that section and balance them out. Then I go to the next 8 bars and I do the same thing. So it's definitely, I would say, mixing. It's such a subtle, touchy part of the production. You guys can see sometimes I'm balancing stuff by 5 dB or so. Sometimes I'm balancing something by a half dB or full or 1.5. That's a subtle amount, but that's what it comes down to get the job done. Okay, so let's look at our drop now. This should take a bit longer than the other stuff because there's a lot of elements. I'm just going to make this a touch bigger for the moment so I can see we've got hi-hats and everything here playing. So now we need to balance my kick and bass first. Those are going to be pretty much my loudest, my dominant stem. So I don't want my hi-hats overtaking my high end. I want them to rhythmic-wise, I want them to be there. They need to have a presence, but my kick, snare, and bass, obviously my chords, that's the front of my record. So my snare's coming off a bit hot, but I need to balance that back below the kick just a touch. So I want to say mixing, it really comes down to what I'm doing here with one by one, balancing stuff against each other. 100% mixing is also a very preference, taste, style part of your production, if that makes sense. Because you can go to 3 or 4 different mix engineers tomorrow, and I guarantee that record will come back slightly different every time, because there is a taste in the process of mixing. It's just like when you're writing your production itself, coming up with chords, coming up with sound design. You're doing that, or giving that style and doing that based off of your taste as a producer. Same exact idea when mixing. I might balance a kick slightly different than someone else will, because my taste is geared towards, hey, I want the kick louder, I want it to have more distortion, right? So keep in mind, guys, yes, there's rules of thumb we're following here today, but there is such thing as taste and having a preference. So now what I'm trying to do is go back and forth. Is this section too low, too loud, vice versa, what's going on? Because we really need to balance each section out before we get to mastering. We can do a touch of it in mastering, but we got to understand we're doing it as a whole, one by one, balancing each stem to the next. For example, 9 to 25. This does need to feel slightly lower in volume, but not low enough so that 25 stands out, like a sore thumb. We need to make that thin line. So what I like to do is go 4 back, 21 to 25 in my buildup, and figure out, are things too low? So bringing up drop main saw is giving more warmth. That's why the support saw, when it was produced, should not be in the forefront. It shouldn't be the main focus. It's called a support saw, just like a backing vocal. That's not supposed to be up front. So we need to mix that back like we just did a touch. Let's go back to those toms. So guys, if you are new to mixing at all right now, and say you're in the stages of not really, comfortable with it, trust me, it takes time. Don't bang your head over not being able to nail mixing in the first year or the first 6 months. I've been doing this 20 years, and every day I learn something new. I teach something new, right? So when you're mixing, take your time with it. Understand the value of each stem. If it is not adding value to your track, take it out. It's doing nothing but creating mud and a headache for your mix. That's why each stem, each layer in here is here for a purpose. Every song should be like that. So it sounds like one of the guitars is feeling a bit high. Let's see. It's actually the keys. Again, as I said earlier, these should not be in the forefront. This section should. This is our main body of the track, the main message. This is almost a counter backing piece. It should not be. It's almost treated as a top line, the guitar, but mix-wise, it should be mixed lower. Okay, so the new element that came in was this stem here. We need to balance that. Everything else was already introduced besides 4 claps, so we need to now balance those against the rest. So right there, you can feel something stands out too much. That's my tom fills. Let's see what else if it's going. It doesn't seem like it's going against anything else. So that tells me right away, this is a new fill. You guys can see there's a clear difference. Sometimes I'll duplicate that down instead of automating it. That's a preference thing too. If you guys want to automate it out to make it easier, go for it. I'm going to bring it down and just balance this back a couple because there's a slightly different fill. Yeah, so when you're in your mixing part here, go back and forth a bunch of times. Wear yourself out with the mix sound. Take a break for an hour, guys. Come back, and I guarantee you will notice something standing out. Like that fill I just noticed right towards the end that didn't feel right. Trust your ears, guys, in this stage. Your ears are so important, and that's why you need to train them for years and years to listening to other people's songs, to producing your own. It's only going to make you a better professional by hearing more music. Overall, everything feels balanced. My effects are pretty low. I'm going to bring those up here to finalize the mix, but everything overall is feeling balanced. I'm not doing anything out of the blue that's something crazy. I'm balancing everything against one another. I'm not trying to push my master super hot right now. Again, balancing my kick with my snare, my kick with my bass, my chords, and so on, going one by one gives me a well-rounded mix towards the end. Therefore, I can then master it and it'll be much easier. So before I get to that, I want to talk a bit more about metering and also exporting our stems. So let's jump to that now.